They called it the golden age of Hollywood, a time of dazzling lights, velvet gowns, and silver screen legends. But beneath the glamour, the champagne, and the red carpets lay something far darker. Behind those studio gates, there were secrets, ugly, cruel, and often tragic, buried beneath layers of fame and image. Today, we're pulling back the velvet curtain to expose the 10 nastiest, most shocking secrets that the golden age of Hollywood tried to keep hidden from the world. 1. Judy Garland, the price of perfection. Long before Judy Garland became the beloved face of The Wizard of Oz, she was a frightened young girl trapped in the iron grip of a system that demanded perfection, no matter the cost. MGM executives didn't see Judy as a child, they saw her as a product. She was forced onto extreme diets, meals replaced with black coffee, cigarettes, and appetite suppressants. When her teenage body naturally began to mature, executives panicked. They wanted Dorothy, not a growing young woman. So they gave her pills to lose weight and others to stay awake during long shooting hours. When she couldn't sleep, they handed her sleeping pills. Thus began the deadly cycle that haunted her for life. By the time The Wizard of Oz made her a global star, Judy was already addicted to studio-supplied drugs. Behind her radiant smile was a child slowly breaking. She was told she wasn't pretty enough, wasn't thin enough, wasn't good enough, until the pressure finally destroyed her. Garland died at just 47, a victim not of her own weakness, but of an industry that chewed up its stars and spat them out once the cameras stopped rolling. If this kind of story touches your heart, if you're someone who cares about truth, responsibility, and speaking up for the voiceless, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who should hear it. Let's get started. 2. Clark Gable, the leading man with a dark past. Clark Gable, the ultimate Hollywood heartthrob, known to millions as Rhett Butler from Gone with the Wind, carried a reputation for charm and masculinity. But behind that rugged smile was a man whose path to stardom was paved with rumors, manipulation, and cruelty. Gable's rise was anything but accidental. Studio executives covered up scandal after scandal, including his alleged affairs with married women and his violent temper. His charm on screen masked a private life of moral decay. The most haunting rumor was tied to a young actress named Loretta Young. During the filming of Call of the Wild in 1935, Young became pregnant after what she later described as a date that wasn't a date. The child, a girl named Judy, was hidden from the public for years. Loretta vanished from Hollywood, then adopted her own daughter to hide the scandal. Only decades later did Loretta's family confirm the truth. Judy Lewis was Clark Gable's biological daughter. The studios had buried the secret, ensuring Gable's reputation as the king of charm remained untarnished. 3. Joan Crawford, the mother Hollywood worshipped and feared. Joan Crawford was a force of nature, ambitious, calculating, and endlessly driven. She climbed from poverty to stardom through sheer determination. But behind the glitz and her award-winning smile, there was a darkness that only her children saw. Christina Crawford's memoir Mommy Dearest painted a horrific portrait. Joan as an abusive, obsessive perfectionist. Wire hangers, midnight beatings, public humiliation, the stories were chilling. Crawford's obsession with control extended to her image. She demanded spotless appearances, strict routines, and absolute obedience. Her home wasn't a sanctuary, it was a stage, and everyone in it was expected to perform. Some dismissed Christina's book as exaggeration. Others, who knew Joan, whispered that it was closer to truth than fiction. Regardless, the picture it painted revealed a woman molded by Hollywood, a woman who learned cruelty from an industry that rewarded ruthlessness. 4. Charlie Chaplin, the dark side of the tramp. Charlie Chaplin, the beloved silent film icon, brought laughter to millions. His bowler hat and cane symbolized innocence and humor. Yet Chaplin's private life was filled with scandal, obsession, and moral controversy. Chaplin had a disturbing pattern. He pursued and married teenage girls, some barely in their mid-teens. His first wife, Mildred Harris, was just 16 when they married, and that was only the beginning. Each relationship ended in chaos, lawsuits, and tabloid headlines. When actress Joan Barry accused him of fathering her child, Chaplin was dragged into one of Hollywood's most explosive paternity trials. Though blood tests later proved he wasn't the father, the damage was done. The U.S. government labeled him a moral danger and communist sympathizer. By the 1950s, Chaplin was banned from re-entering America. The world saw him as a clown, but behind the laughter was a deeply flawed man haunted by his own demons. 5. Howard Hughes, the genius who lost his mind. Howard Hughes was a legend, filmmaker, pilot, billionaire, and eccentric visionary. But as his fame grew, so did his paranoia. In the 1940s and 50s, Hughes wielded power across Hollywood. He bought RKO Pictures and used his wealth to manipulate stars and censor films. Yet behind his wealth was a man spiraling into madness. Obsessed with cleanliness and control, Hughes locked himself in dark rooms for months, terrified of germs and betrayal. He hoarded jars of urine, spoke to no one, and wrote endless memos filled with irrational orders. What once looked like brilliance became madness. His empire crumbled under his paranoia, and the women who once adored him, from Ava Gardner to Katharine Hepburn, saw a man consumed by his own genius. When he died, reclusive and skeletal, his body was so deteriorated that fingerprints were needed to identify him. 6. Rock Hudson, Hollywood's greatest lie. Rock Hudson was the ultimate romantic hero, tall, handsome, and the picture of masculine perfection. But Hollywood's heartthrob was living a lie, one he was forced to keep for survival. In an era when being gay could end a career overnight, Hudson's truth was buried under fabricated romances and arranged marriages. Studios carefully managed his image, creating a fantasy for millions of adoring fans. When rumors began circulating about his private life, his handlers moved fast. Dates with actresses were staged, photographs manipulated, and interviews rehearsed. The illusion lasted until 1985, when Hudson revealed he was dying of AIDS. It was a moment that shattered Hollywood's hypocrisy. Behind the golden smile was a man who had been denied the right to be himself. Hudson's tragedy wasn't his illness. It was the lifetime of pretending forced upon him by an unforgiving industry. 7. Fatty Arbuckle, the scandal that almost killed Hollywood. Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle was one of the biggest stars of the silent film era, beloved for his humor and slapstick brilliance. But one fateful party in 1921 changed everything. When actress Virginia Rappe died after attending a wild gathering in Arbuckle's hotel suite, the media exploded. He was accused of assault and murder, though no evidence supported the claims. Still, his career was obliterated overnight. The trial became a public spectacle. Newspapers painted him as a monster. Though he was acquitted, the damage was irreversible. Hollywood, terrified of moral backlash, banned him from ever working again. Behind the laughter was a man destroyed by rumors and the industry's desperate need to preserve its image. Arbuckle died a broken man, one of the first casualties of Hollywood's obsession with scandal management. 8. Marilyn Monroe, the star who knew too much. Marilyn Monroe was more than just beauty, she was vulnerability personified. But her luminous smile masked deep loneliness and a dangerous truth. She knew too much about the powerful men who surrounded her. Behind closed doors, Marilyn was entangled with some of the most influential figures in America, including President John F. Kennedy and his brother Robert. Her access to their private conversations, secrets, and affairs made her a liability. As her emotional state deteriorated, Marilyn confided in friends that she feared for her life. On August 5, 1962, she was found dead in her home, an apparent overdose. But many have questioned that narrative. Her phone records vanished. Key evidence disappeared. Witnesses contradicted each other. Was it suicide, or something far more sinister? Whatever the truth, Marilyn's death remains one of Hollywood's darkest mysteries, a tale of power, betrayal, and a woman destroyed by the very system that made her famous. 9. J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI's obsession with Hollywood secrets. While not an actor, J. Edgar Hoover's presence loomed over every Hollywood star. As the director of the FBI, Hoover built secret files on celebrities, tracking their scandals, affairs, and political leanings. He knew who was gay, who was cheating, who had communist sympathies. He used that knowledge to control them, blackmailing actors, directors, even studio executives. Marilyn Monroe, Charlie Chaplin, Frank Sinatra, and even Lucille Ball appeared in Hoover's classified files. He wasn't just watching Hollywood, he was manipulating it. The Golden Age wasn't just a dream factory. It was a surveillance state built on fear, where every secret could be weaponized. 10. The studio system, the machine behind the masks. All these stories have one thing in common: the system itself. The Hollywood studio machine of the 1930s through the 1950s was a fortress of control. Actors were owned by studios, told what to eat, wear, say, and love. Image was everything. If a star got pregnant, addicted, or fell in love with the wrong person, the studio fixed it by lies, cover-ups, or payoffs. Scandals disappeared overnight. Reporters were bribed. Police turned a blind eye. The Golden Age wasn't golden, it was gilded, its shine masking layers of abuse, addiction, and manipulation. For every glittering Oscar moment, there were shattered lives in the shadows. Behind every movie poster was a story the world was never meant to hear. Conclusion: the price of illusion. Hollywood built dreams, but it built them on human pain. These 10 secrets remind us that behind the legends, the gowns, and the cameras, there were real people controlled, exploited, and silenced. The Golden Age wasn't just about art. It was about illusion, an illusion so powerful that even the stars themselves forgot where the acting ended and reality began. The next time you watch a classic film and marvel at the beauty and grace of its stars, remember, those smiles might have been painted over heartbreak, because in Hollywood's brightest light, the darkest shadows always linger.